left when they began dying in earnest, but long before it went entirely cold. After the sky had gone dark, but before the last of the sturdy and shade-loving trees in her neighborhood spark had whispered untit, she would have stayed longer, but it was not her choice. Her father and her aunt, who was now his new wife, insisted, and she was young enough just a year short of her majority, but young enough that she must go with him. In a way, those last days were the most beautiful of all, for after behind sun had gone dark, she could always see the stars. Afterward she could remember little about the refugee ship except that it was crowded and dirty. It was as if the warden of her mind knew what belonged in it and what didn't, and those memories clearly did not. And if her mind had about perhaps a secret in a chamber for only the most intimate and beloved things, that was where the she's of bearing in the final days rested. Many nights she held him close like a lover, and like a lover, they gave a consolation. At the bottom of the single trunk her aunt mother allowed her, because space on the ship was precious, she packed the best of her star charts and tellings. Perhaps in other trunks, her customers were packing their own copies, perhaps not. She would have liked them to, but was not presumptuous enough to hope. Neither was she presumptuous enough to dislike their new home, for rooms plus a lavatory in a brownstone apartment on a brownstone apartment block on Kedah. She had the city's name several times, but always forgot it. The rooms were warm in summer, but not hot, cool in winter, but not cold, sweet smelling after her aunt's attentions, and serviceable. They were in the townhouse with its green courtyard back home, but that was hardly their fault. In the same way, Kedah was not behind, and she was his father's spouse was only her little mother's sister and not her mother. She kept the house with her aunt, and when her father helped his wife get a job managing software at a mechanics silverware plant, Kedah was famed for its precious metals and what it could do with them. She kept the house alone. She befriended neighbors, one family who was native to the city, two that had come from different regions of the eastern continent, and one other which was from behind. She turned 21 and stayed with her family despite her majority. And on a quiet night when both her parents were working late, she drew back the curtains and looked out on strange stars. Kedah had no moon was the name, only spare, pale chunks of rock that floated through the firmament or drifted across a daytime sky as if as harmless to be intruding. Its stars, the dirty galactic core, were thick and bright even through the dust and smoke of an industrial and mining atmosphere, so thick and bright that it took her time to learn one from another. But in time she did, and in time she would know more, and by the time her father came home at an hour closer to dawn than sunset she knew what she would do next. "I am going to become an astrologer again," she told him. He hitched his coat from his shoulders and it slid to the floor. But there was no denying her, not in this, and he knew it, so he only nodded and smiled, saying nothing. In the morning she went to the library. Her family couldn't afford subscriptions to specialized information channels or databases and read about the stars of Kedah, the shapes they made, and what they signified. Kedah's constellations were not as fine as behind they formed simple shapes with unimaginative names, like a spillet wine and long-died dog and even one cold fish fork. She told his day and after a long day at the silverware factory and still out together. But she was learned them already fully, and read, watched, and absorbed the limited information available on Kedah and astrology. The team came for her first telling. She made it for the woman from Kedah Valley's family downstairs. The woman had been born in the third month of spring, beneath the round, bright sign of the spacefaring ship. The planet Koman, Kedah's twin in albeit its poisonous atmosphere, was in the sign of the long-died dog. Together, they marked her nature, a sweet and dissatisfied one. Moro, Vichruslav, is in the house of Tip, the murderer, she was explained, her finger on the chart pointing to one of Kedah's more colorful constellations. Their romantic desires are crossed perhaps eternally. The woman sighed, and they both were glad her husband had not come to the telling. Other planets and their aspects suggested that the woman was creative, or at least had the impulse, though she hadn't had the energy to express it since her heroine emigration from the well 6 years earlier. And the conjunction spoke well of financial matters. Shebas refused payment for her telling she had done it for the joy of practicing her art once more at her than for an again. But several months later, when the neighbor's business in pressed flower stationery picked up, 14 more as were discovered in an envelope slipped under the apartment door. Shebas put them in the aluminum tin with the money here and stepmother dipped into firehands. Behind sun was visible from Kedar, a tiny yellow spark caught in the web of milky stars. It would be visible for another 1,000 years, if the light it had sent out like a lover's message traveled through the void until the void ran out of light and revealed the emptiness now in its place. It wasn't part of any constellation, and was of no interest to an astrologer. Intime Shebas forgot to look for it. In the following months, a story was printed and reprinted in Kedar's fiction journals and digests. It was a fantasy, following the adventures of a time traveler. He went far into the future, millions of years, said that at the end of everything else the universe slowly was red and cooled. Mankind had become little more than vague slaves who punched cards and tapped keys and created machinery as sluggish and dreamless as themselves. By his understanding of time, the traveler knew this future was inevitable, yet upon returning to his own age he struggled endlessly and in vain to change it. Perhaps his efforts, worked and wasted in unimaginable gulfs of years, helped to bring about this ultimate fate. The text alluded to a possibility, but made no clear answer. The story was extremely popular, though few couldn't fastly it. The vain efforts of the time traveler were not even admirable, only tragic. From the piece's genesis at the desk of an overworked freelance journalist its archival demise soon after it placed second for the annual prize in Kedar Fantastic Literature, 30 stars went out across the civilized worlds. In the charts of Kedar's official astrographers, one of the dines of the fish for Grunspindly, and the debutante in her long star-woven dress lost one of her eyes. In the sky they burned steadily as ever. He came with a friend, a honey blonde willowy girl, and it was obvious she had dragged him in. She was not upon seeing him that he did not believe in astrology. The girl's sweetly smooth smile suggested that she meant to convert him. They held hands, but her clasp was too tight for them to be lovers. Shebas received him and the parlor and had allowed her to convert to an office and receiving room for her dealings. She married the girls first. Dark, slender, a little older, perhaps even old enough to join the mysterious and thrilling fraternity of men stood at the window and watched the traffic pass in the street below. His eyes were what said it was dirty. Moro, Vichruslav, was in the house of the debutante at their birth. That's a lucky sign, she bestowed the girl. Other signs said she was healthy, that she possessed a unique perspective, that she was likely to travel. Sometimes, rarely, she best shouted at telling she couldn't believe. Though she gave anyway, she felt this was one of them. It was too neat, and rang somehow false. When it was done, the girl turned to look over her chair back at the man by the window. "You," she said. "Doesn't it describe me?" He laughed without humor. "At least you're happy with what you wasted your money on," he said philosophically. "Your name is Yo?" she asked. She could not explain why she asked about his name rather than confronting him. "Short for Josaphat. It's from some book." By his tone, he paid it no more reference than astrology. "My name is Shebas. Its old form is Elizabeth. From the same book." The girl was frowning. "Well, will you let Sabbath make your telling for you?" His dark eyes looked over him, and back to the window, darting like a trapped birds flown in by mistake. What could the stars tell me? And why should I trust him? They were dying anyway. "Not all of them," Shebas said. "Enough. 57, at last count. And it's only been 2 years, best as can be tracked. Intime we might not say it, but intime, if this continues till I go out. In the millions, till be gone. Not entirely gone. The mass remains even after the light and heat go out. For what that's worth. It keeps the planets on their courses," she said quietly. "My family came here from behind when its sun went dark." Softer still, she added, "I was an astrologer too." His louder Stimme was surprised. "All right, Kaya, get out of the seat. I'll hear my telling." She besturned her Astrologers polits their blank page and scrolled through the book before her kept in case our telling became complicated, or for quick reference, note something she relied on. When and where were you born? The 8th of Udal. In Korsun City, Tom. He sat forward with his hands clasped, elbows on his knees. Since you were born on behind, is certainly based on its constellations? It would be. She took out a straight-edged wrote the lines of the chart. You never made one? My uncle made one for me long ago. He lost it. You remember any of it? She shook her head. That's where your interest in astrology started, though? In RW. She double-checked her progress against our figure in the book. Eva always loved the stars. You could have gone into space work. His voice was warm with amusement. It takes money for that sort of education. Ah. At first she thought he sounded embarrassed, and she wondered if his low tone disguised something else. Perhaps pity. Well. She straightened the chart softly. You have an interesting telling, Josaphat. Call me Leo. Leo. A sheet slipped free from the table. He retrieved it and handed it back without looking. Yes. There is an interesting trick of Kedar's constellations. She spread out the chart and pointed. His eyes went to Daisy drawn unwillingly. Herr, opposite the sky from the covert there is no constellation, only empty space. Empty by Kedar's exacting standards, though behind the astrologers could have found shapes in the scattered lights there. That's where command rested on your birth. It governs the soul. So my soul is an empty space? He waggled his eyebrows, but it seemed like an effort. Behind him, the girl laughed shrilly. A more generous interpretation would be that your soul is not guided by the stars. A look of surprise passed over his face, perhaps at her warm tone, which surprised she was herself. But it quickly passed. So it's up to interpretation. Of course. She looked back at the telling. On the other hand, Maurice. He straightened in his seat suddenly. She was silent. You know, you said, I'm not really into mood for an astrological reading right now. He cocked his head and smiled. Not right now. She was folded the chart down the middle with one sharp crease. Feeling as if she were being toyed with, she said, I don't suppose you'll be in the mood later? Perhaps he will. His soft tone was so at odds with his cocky expression that she wondered at first if she had misheard. The girl with him looked nervous. Yes. He stood and offered her his hand. For meeting, she was from the Same book. Maybe I'll come back for the rest of my telling. The part that isn't free of the stars. Yes, she said, her confusion gone. She knew he would return and not for the rest of the telling. Across the civilized galaxy, and perhaps across the expanse of the entire moon and unknown universe, stars, for no reason anyone knew, suddenly went out. There was no warning. In a matter of hours, or for the more fortunate ones of days, the sun would grow clouded, and utterly dark. Boss didn't notice the dimming until the last light vanished, thinking it was only smoke or a trick of their own eyes. An evacuated astronomer recalled that at first it looked like sunspots. This interviewer, impressed by the man's calm and scientific bearing, asked about an explanation. He threw his hands in the air, and scientific terror in his eyes. None of his colleagues had explanations either, though most of them fared better than he. They did not, instead is locked in a room strung with blue-white lights. The cold came. The planet did, and so did an left behind on its surface, as it rolled at a star that had become nothing but shadowy matter. No one knew how. No one knew why. Perhaps the why was unscientific. But that was what they asked for an overarching, with the same terror and confusion. Not what or how but why. What else do you believe in? He sat at the tiny table in the apartment's kitchen. A steaming mug of tea sat before him. She was hard mad if out asking if he wanted an. She sat across from him. What do you mean? If you believe fate can be told by the stars, what about other things? Ghosts? Gods? The truth of books? Xenos from beyond settled space? He zipped his tea thoughtfully. You know, the other day had a story about a man in Kusuraviha or disappeared walking across the street. "You don't believe that," she said. "Really? It's the one thing I do believe." He pursed his lips. "If stars can disappear, why not men?" "The stars didn't disappear, they went out. A distinction that would not," she felt, too much inured to his argument. "If an argument it was. Xenos are a possibility," she said. "At night I believe in ghosts, in the light, gods. Perhaps they are the same thing." He laughed, "Not mocking would with the surrender of one WHO feels he is being mocked and doesn't care. That's interesting." She didn't ask if he wanted the rest of his telling. She did ask if he wanted more tea. "While you're pouring," he held out his mug. "Have you ever not believed in something or in anything?" "At dawn, when the ghosts are gone and I'm not yet certain the gods are real. Yes. And when behind it, for a time I didn't believe in anything. Except for the stars." "Why did you believe in them?" She shrugged, more dismissively, but as an expression of inadequacy. She couldn't explain how the memory of behind night she's had consoled her. "I am an astrologer," she said at last. "You believe because it makes you money?" "No. It gives me something to do." That, too, was inadequate, but it was closer. "A purpose?" He asked why behind her. "There's a bit more tea. It's lonely to believe in nothing." "I believe that." They shared a same-faced smile. "It's as if." He shrugged. "My world has empty spaces. Empty spaces that refuse to be filled." "I'm sorry," she said. "You wanted something to do." He looked out the window, where one of the dark-skinned moons shone faintly through the dust. "Maybe that's it. For me, it's something to be like an astrologer," she said, understanding. "Did everyone on behind believe in the stars?" "Many did." She wondered if he was changing the topic. "My father does. My mother didn't. I wonder if my stepmother does." She traced the curve of her Max handle. "My mother let me make tellings, even though she didn't believe. I mother her one, when he was too young to understand that she wouldn't. Well, that it would mean nothing to her. She held on her wall and kept it there until she did. And my father took it down. It didn't mean nothing to her," he said. She was nodded. He reached across the table and took her hand. There was no reason for it, and the gesture itself was wrong, was too intimate and inadequate at once. She was pressed her other palm against his fingers. "Did you come here looking for belief?" she said. "You don't know what I came here for." She raised his hand to her lips, knowing she would never understand why she did. By his expression he didn't understand either, but he knew, as she did, that it was right. "Thank you," he said. Perhaps a little reverently. "I hope you find something to fill your empty spaces," she said. _week _card _ Donnerstag I. He laughed, half embarrassed. "Hope can also be a belief," she said. "Or as good as one." "As good for what?" She shrugged. "Living." He nodded, but didn't meet her eyes until he said, "Can you come back here?" "Of course." She added, "I won't even charge you." And she never did, for all the time they came to spend together, time she might have more profitably used to calculate tellings or meet with customers. She did not do things because they made her money. She did them because she did. He seemed to understand this, or at least he came close enough to see the shapes of the things he did not understand. There was some debate, when the news spread as the first stars went out, over the practicality of global preparedness if something should happen to the local sun. Any preparation worst name would be extravagantly expensive, and many did not see the need. After 3 standard years, over half the world's unsettled space had built thermal chambers deep in the planet's crust, and an emergency fleet prepared to evacuate 15 to 20% of the population. Some things were reversed. 6 planets formed plans to rekindle their suns, using nuclear devices or more arcane things. 2 of them eventually had the need to use theirs. Neither of them and both were quite ingenious work. Planets that had followed the progress of this policy turned their own logistics efforts to evacuation. Drills were not given for such numbers they would be unreasonable if not impossible, but every news provider reviewed evacuation procedure weekly, including the criteria that would decide WHO went to the ships immediately and WHO would wait in the thermal chambers. These decisions were made differently on each world. On some sick were given first priority. On others those in hospital care were left behind. Even with the best preparation, when the star went out there would be panic. When the known team sky went dark as moonless night, or when the sunset and never rose again, or when evening was unexpectedly cut short, there was restlessness, blindness, or cooking faded only slowly numbered into despair. In some there was a deep, steering excitement. And perhaps that wasn't so perverse. The end of our world was a thrilling experience. For those WHO continued to think at all, thoughts were on the future, not the present, a dark and blurry holographic maze. The past might never have existed. All that mattered were the ships for the lucky, the thermal chambers for those less so, and the evasion of the constant dark and ever-spreading cold. Exile are pretty term. Resettlement more political. They were not always welcome, those ships with their engines stoked to capacity to outburst the failing light of their home suns, carrying tens of thousands of people to worlds not expecting them. But few were turned away. A planet that rejected the refugees would be shunned forever, and these were not the teams for isolation. And so, steht outside by the light, the exiles began lives on new worlds, under new stars. Others waited in the thermal chambers as more interstellar ships were built. It grew colder and, it seemed, darker, though of course that was impossible. With each completed vessel numbers dwindled until the last group left our west, echoing, empty waren behind. They did not turn off the lights, none of them did. In a chamber on an world, there was no need. The world remained behind in darkness, settling outside of mass. It grew colder and colder until the atmosphere itself froze and the sky came down in drifts of strangely colored snow. It's almost enough to make you believe. In what? Shebas looked up from the map of Kedashis she examined on Leo's personal table, which he had learned here weeks before. She meant to return it to him today. She had also toyed with the thought of finally presenting interest of his telling anything. They sat at the chair before the window, head leaned back on his folded arms. A stripe of thin evening light was painted on his neck. Gods, perhaps. Would gods make the stars go out? Maybe. With a fingertip, she wrote at the display. She was learning nothing new from the map, only taking a faint pleasure from studying the stars. As a punishment, perhaps. You don't believe in divine punishments. Why not? His smile was wide in the dim evening. She shrugged. Perhaps it's ghosts. Not ghosts. Even if they could be that powerful. And if so, why they never thought to do it before? It's not ghosts, she repeated. Why not? The debut on the map was the whole, not like the one in the Astrologer's official charts, missing an eye and half his scalp. My mother would never know that the stars. What about other? He studied here, I narrowed. He smiled faintly. Alright. She reached to close out of the map, then, at the last minute, went to the applications library and searched for behind. It can only be one thing. The familiar stars flooded the screen, flooded her vision. She was hard to blink it clear before speaking. What? Xenos. He shared a smile. Is it better to believe in nothing, he said, staring out the window, or in something that would do this? She didn't answer, her eyes on behind stars. After a time he came and sat beside her. Together they looked at the map, the image of a lost sky. You can see the things you see into stars, the woman, a long-term client, told she was. But eager to look at him. You sit out on the terrace with only a candle, its light is less distracting than an electric lantern, and stare up and up until sometimes it becomes quite frightening. He felt as if something is also staring down. The other night, he noticed the mosses were coming towards my candle. He tried to turn away, but one stupid, pretty thing blackened a wing before he could save it. That made me angry. So he blew the candle out. and he looked back up at the sky. It seemed so much more brilliant for just the lack of one little flame, and he wondered, are there beautiful, stupid things flying up there, too, in danger of burning up? And is something trying to protect him? Is that why? She did not, could not say yes or no. The woman hadn't expected her to. She was the sort of person who could tell things to fancies or dreams, hopes or fragile, frightening suspicions. Hope can be as good as belief. If stars can go dark without explanation, is it any more impossible or unlikely that they can be rekindled? It need not be by human hands. There need not be a how, or even a why. It will never be impossible. It was known in the city on Kita, at the silver were planned. Workers took advantage of the finder to picnic on the lunch carpet grounds. Not far away, a brownstone apartment block was bustling. The boy made a few minutes walking dogs led an army on leashes down the sidewalk. A young man with a slightly dazzled look came out of the apartments holding his purchase, a cart decorated with pressed flowers and with a love message inside, as if it were made of fragile gold foil. A woman came down from the floor above, holding a chart of stars, also dazzled. In her eye was a bright gleam. Much later, when she regained the nerve to speak, she would claim she saw the sunlight filter fast, like a candle flickering before being blown out. Of course that was nonsense. It descended at once, sudden, unstoppable. The dog snarled, barked, whinnied. The young man missed a step and nearly lost his cart. From one of the apartment windows came the sound of someone screaming. A worker who had taken his lunch in a part of the factory grounds he had never visited before became lost. A woman reading the previous year's best fantastic literature start late and tripped out a page. She never finished the story. The sky was filled with darkness and with stars. He ran down the street, the electric lanterns began jogging in his hand. He carried the light while tripping over objects that had been dropped in the rush luggage, clothing, toys, books, even purses put he not away. He followed it without thinking, the VR in Leslie scribbling hand inevitably starts shaping its own name. The stairs were cluttered with junk, and when he forced the door, he found the apartment itself was, too. Stacks of plates and mugs sat on the table, and a dress was draped over the back of one chair. He found she was sitting on the parlor sofa. She had turned it to face the open window. "You heard you weren't coming," he said, voice faint from the run. "That's right. I'm not leaving." She looked over her shoulder and the electric light made her face blue-gray. "I'm of age. They can take me with them if I don't wish to go. I knew you would come here, you." She smiled. "Your family is boarding the ship tomorrow." "I know." She looked back at the sky, at the course laid across darkness like the creme on black velvet. She was refused the hair already. He could see his breath. "Won't you at least come to our thermal chamber?" Softly, she said, "I couldn't see the sky from there. You'll freeze up here." She didn't answer. He sat on the couch beside her. She was, "If you won't go, I'll stay here with you." She turned and kissed his cake. The brush of her lips was cold. "No, you won't." She seemed to be smiling. And he knew she was right. He had no reason to stay. Not like she did. They sat together in silence for a while. He thought of telling her what had happened the night before, how they had a candlelit service down in the Gardamal chamber, how he had held a candle and notated words. But now he believed none of it. "Does your world still have empty spaces?" she asked. She turned to him as she spoke. He had left the lantern on the floor, and he only saw her, faintly, by the stars. He saw the brightness of her eyes, and the white cloud of her words. Knowing he would never have the chance again, he asked, "Does yours?" "Yes." She put her hand on his. "The past days, I've been feeling tame. Good. I don't mind so much." She nodded back to the window. "Up there, it's an empty space." "I believe some things I didn't before," he said. "Not the candles and the words. Not the books, not quite. But some things." "Like what?" "I'm not certain. In stars, a little. And ghosts, or something like ghosts. And hope." It sounds crazy to say that. You understand. And Xenos. She lied. I believe you'll do what you want, she says, and you'll want to for no other reason than because it's what you do. That's true. And I believe I. She raised her hand to his lips. It was warmer than he expected. That's enough to believe at one time, I think. He turned away from her hand. I don't believe. I know. I love you, she says. You have the rest of your telling, she said. Do you still want it? Yes. She handed him the folded paper and kissed him once more. The touchkind laid it between them, no more than a spark, no stronger than the glow of a distant star. He rose, removed his coat, and wrapped it over her shoulders. Thank you, she said. Thank you. He left her alone, looking out at the sky. He hurried through the streets, back to the evacuation center with its underground chambers, where he could wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow he would leave the world behind, and more than our world. There would never be any going back. With past and future held tight in his hands until they complete, he walked on. Through the abandoned streets, into exile, into empty spaces, through darkness. He carried everything that he believed in folded between cold fingers, while the suns of 1,000 worlds burned steadily overhead.